Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Yogacises podcast and YouTube channel. I'm your host, Pen. I have a special guest today. Her name is Desiree Gaffley. She is a certified health and life coach. She focuses on helping women on their nutrition, on their health, women with emotional eating, and let's get right to it. Thank you for being on with us today and sharing your experience, your story, your expertise in this area. Welcome. And let's start with an introduction about you. And you're from Florida, so in the United States, and
Yes.
I'm in Jersey, so we're not too far. So thank you, and please share your story with us.
Well, I grew up with good eating habits, and I never carried extra weight. So, sometimes you think it's a good thing, but it's not because you don't know that you have to watch what you eat or do things differently, right? And then after my first child, that's where my brain started getting engaged in not thinking properly around food because after my son was born, I was frantic because I picked up all this weight. Now I do know now if I just went back to my normal eating, it would have been fine. But I basically starved myself during the day, and then what happens? You have to eat. So at night I would binge because I'm hungry, and not that it was always, I wasn't thinking about what I was eating that much at night because then I was hungry. My cravings kicked in, which I never had before. I didn't like eating cake. I really had good eating habits. Then fast forward many years later, like 20 years later, we come to America. I am from South Africa, the beautiful city of Cape Town. And so 20 years later, we come to America, and with three of our four children. And my husband travels a lot for his work. So it's lonely. I left all my friends and family behind. And I feel bad for my children because they don't have their normal life, right? And so on a weekend, we watch TV and we eat pizza and burgers. Well, let's just say the lovely American cuisine. And you know what? Before we knew it, we'd all picked up 20 pounds. And that was terrible because all of a sudden I really didn't know how to eat. And the more I tried to lose weight, the more I seemed to not be able to. And I have this mirror on my way to a bathroom in my house, and this mirror told me ugly stories. This mirror said, "You're fat." Anyway, to cut a long story short, I realized I had to do something different. And I was, of course, not feeling good that I had allowed my children to do the same as I did. My daughter is a beautiful, very smart girl, and she was in the play called The King and I. And as the children, I'm sitting there in the audience, excitedly waiting for my daughter to appear. And when the children appeared, the play, the children, the actors, um, then I see my daughter, and I can't believe it. They made her, the seamstress who made the dresses, made her something that looked like a large pillowcase. Like two ends of material was just cut out, and three holes for the arms and the leg, arms and the head, the neck. It looked awful, and they just turned her hair in a bun on top of her head. There was no thought put into that, and of course, once again, as a mother, I felt really guilty. So I spoke to her. We started something off. I started juicing, and you have to eat. I probably said that before. So if you don't put good food on your plate, you're going to put something else on your plate. And then I just sort of researched, and I became a health coach. I'm a certified health and lifestyle coach. I'm also a transformational coach because I do extra studies, to help people. And if you're in that place of, like I was, of messing up your health and not eating correctly, you need the extra support, and I felt I needed the extra guidance and support, and that's why I trained to become a health coach.
Thank you for sharing your story. It's so true that after we have children, is there a period of time where we weren't really careful with what we were eating, and now that you've got more knowledge and in health and wellness and being a life coach. How has that changed what you've been doing, and what advice do you give to your clients about healthy eating and about not eating based on emotion or go about dealing with emotional eating?
Well, and it's such an important question you're asking, Pan, because I think lots of us eat emotionally, but it's not a big thing because in the moment you feel emotional, you eat something. But if you're an emotional eater, if you're always eating according to your feelings, that's where the trouble really starts. And I hadn't realized that I was an emotional eater. And so it took me a while. Actually, something just happened in this year. I was supposed to attend a function with my husband, which we have been planning for months. And my hair, nails was done and everything. But a friend of mine who was very sick with cancer, she needed a ride from the hospital. And long story short again, we went to get her, but by the time I got back, it was too late for me to go to my function. And so I'm standing in my room because, can you imagine? You've planned all of this, you're ready to go, and now you've got nothing to do. And in that moment, I wanted to eat, but I just had lunch before I went to get her. So I knew I wasn't hungry. And I was so excited that I knew what it was. I got myself a glass of water and I took a book and I thought, because when I read, I don't eat, not going to the TV. I took a book and I started reading, and I love reading. And so that helped me. And so if one can become mindful and realize what is happening, that helps a great deal. And then furthermore, you have to eat and choose what you eat. And it becomes really simple. Like for me, I know that gluten does not work for me. Sugar is another really bad thing. Sugar in the brain becomes like the neurotransmitter equal to cocaine. And so, when you eat sugar, you crave more sugar and more sugar. And then you get into the sugar high. And if you don't add fats, protein, and fiber to when you're eating sugar, then it's like it's like a roller coaster. The sugar just shoots right up to the top of the brain. And that's when you have that sugar low again when it comes right down. And then when the body sends out insulin, it cannot produce glucagon, the fat burning hormone. And so, then it becomes a vicious cycle. You want more sugar, you eat more sugar, you go on this roller coaster. And these are things that's very important to be aware of. And there's sugar in just everything, right? Especially in America. When I go to South Africa, I find that the food is so different because I normally go like 7 weeks at a time because it's so far. And I come back after 7 weeks and I haven't watched what I eat now. I do watch the quantities, and obviously I don't add a lot of sugar, but I come back and I haven't picked up an ounce. But in America, I do have to watch what I eat. And, sugar and salt, I love salt. I'm more a salty kind of person, but you do have to watch it and so that you don't put your body under stress.
You mentioned a few things I'd like to ask you about. I'm sorry to hear that your friend has cancer, and maybe you could help her with the diet part, and that could probably help your friend with the cancer part. Another thing is you mentioned sugar. Yes, sugar is really bad, but what are some of the substitutes or some of the things that they could start changing to modify in their diet or lifestyle to gradually, slowly eliminate the sugar? Because sometimes for people that depend on sugar too much, if they remove it right away, they have that detox effect, physically, mentally, emotionally. So how do you basically, what are some of the recommendations that you give to your clients to basically just cut down the sugar slowly and replace it with something else?
What an excellent question, because that is so true. Now, sugar cravings comes in different ways, but there are some things that pushes us towards it. Sometimes you might just be tired, right? You're not getting enough sleep. So watching your sleeping patterns is extremely important. I know there was also time for me that I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep very well. And when these things happen for me, I am very happy about it because it helps me to understand better where my clients are at, right? Stress is another thing. Stress is huge. And but there are ways, everybody has stress. But some people have more stress than others. And to be able to manage your stress is so important, right? And so I do a breathing exercise. I know there's different ways and different counts, but one of the ones that I was taught is the 5-5-7 way. As you breathe in for 5, through the count of 5, hold for 5 and release for 7. You're like releasing everything. So when you are concentrating on your breathing, you cannot think on the problems that you probably have in your mind. And if you do that for a couple of seconds, it really, really helps. And then just to calm down, just to take yourself out of that situation of what you're thinking about. The other thing is, there are contractive activities like running and working too hard and partying too hard and staying up late. And those contractive activities, makes your body want to rest. So when you are in that state of stress and working hard and all, then your body needs the rest and it calls for something. So, you might want to feel inclined to drink wine and eat chocolates and eat sweets, and you don't even realize why. So you need to give your body that rest, maybe do yoga, rest, find to sleep more, read, go for walks instead of running. Those all make a difference. And then to replace some sweetness. Now, I'm not saying completely, try it slowly. But what has worked really well for me is having sweet veggies and fruits. Now, we have to watch our sugar intake with fruits too, because it can be high. And if you are diabetic, you definitely have to watch your fruit intake, maybe 2 or 3. I actually, the research says 2 to 3. I say no more than 2. Because I am diabetic. I'm managing it extremely well, but that is because I eat only berries. I have apples occasionally. I mean, I grew up with my mother saying an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And so, excuse me, I didn't always like apples in the beginning. I like the sweeter apples. I have a frog in my throat. Sorry. But you just have to eat very mindfully. So if you add beets, which is good for you, add carrots, what else? Sweet potato. Those all have sweets. And I understand that one can't go from the one to the other like just quickly and just overturn it. But, just check the sugars in whatever you're eating also. Definitely watch your beverages, because sodas have such a high amount of sugars in it. And I'm very glad that I've never been a soda drinker. Also fruit juice, you have to watch it, and I didn't always understand when I was told by people in authority or shall I say medical profession saying don't drink like orange juice. They'd say you have a little bit if your sugar levels are low. Mine never does that. I know how to eat for that. But if your sugar levels are too low, drink a glass of orange juice. But then on the other hand, they say don't drink juice. And then they also say don't eat oranges. And I have worked that out. So I love oranges. But when my husband has an orange, I have a few of his, just a few little segments of his. So I don't eat a whole orange, which I won't say you can't eat a whole orange. And sometimes to satisfy that tooth, that sweet tooth, you just need a little bit, so satisfied anyway. I love dark chocolates. And I'm telling you all my bad stories, but I would eat a whole slab of milk chocolate. And I wouldn't want people to know because I've just finished a whole slab. Well, now I don't like milk chocolate anymore because you teach your body. Yeah, definitely teach your body. So I don't even like milk chocolate because I've changed over to dark chocolate. I enjoy it. But, when I want it, I will have one chocolate or if it's a whole chocolate, I'll have two little blocks of it, and that's it. And that's the way I've been able to manage it. And that's the way I suggest people try and just go over. But if I'm going to say this over and over, you have to eat, you will manage your cravings so much better and your sweet tooth so much better when you're not hungry.
Those are great tips. Thank you for sharing. So as for your diabetes, how are you managing now? Do you manage only by nutrition, whole foods nutrition only, or do you also do meds?
I do meds, and that's the honest truth. Now, I want to tell you a little story around that. Everything in your body, my friend is no longer with us. She passed away. So I send her lots of things. There's a doctor, Chris, what's his last name? Chris, who had diabetes, and so I send her all of his, who had cancer. So I send her all his stuff, and I send her a lot of stuff. But I was very mindful, and I don't know if I did this right. Ben, maybe you can help me out here. I don't know if I did this right, but I didn't want to tell her how to run a life because, things don't always work. But I did send her lots of nutritional things, and we spoke a little bit, but she's not with us anymore. So about the diabetes, I went to two dietitians, and their way of eating didn't work for me. I'm small boned, I'm small framed, I'm only 5 feet, I'm short. So my eating has to be so different. Like they told me how much carbs to add and carb counting. I don't do carb counting. I don't add carbs to because there's a lot of natural carbs, in your broccoli, in your vegetables and all of that. So that's what I concentrate on. My husband is watching what he eats because the doctor said, you're borderline for diabetes. My husband can have a slice of bread. He bakes his own bread. He eats very well, but he loves bread. So he bakes his own bread. He can have a slice of bread at 9 o'clock, and his sugar levels will be good in the morning. I can't do that. So everybody's different. So I have to cut out the bread completely. Now, do I have a slice of bread now and again? Very rarely. I do. But then my blood sugar will show it. So I eat a lot of leafy greens. I've added like sweet potato in for my sweetness. I do eat eggs in the morning for breakfast. I love a big green salad that makes a huge difference. I do have to watch my protein. I could eat a lot of red meat. I grew up eating. I have cut that down to a real minimum. I haven't cut it out completely because I believe in being holistic and eating, the complete amount, but mainly on fish and chicken. And also not a big amount. My husband likes to make lentils and beans. And so sometimes I'll add that for my protein. And there's, of course, carbs in there as well. So am I where I want to be with my diabetes? No. I don't drink sodas. I don't drink juices. And I make sure that I eat now. Sometimes you can think you're hungry when you're actually thirsty, right? So I see that I drink my water throughout the day. And to be honest, I'm not so good with that. So what do I do? Because, if you're just drinking water, sometimes you want something more. So I add lemon to it. I add bay leaves to it. And I can have a bottle of water standing here. And I might not drink it all day. And not all day, but, for morning, I'm like, oh my goodness me, I didn't drink water. Then I go, I put in some lemon and I chuck away 1, 2, 3, so adding little things that you like. You can add a little bit of fruit for the taste, very little, so that you don't get all the sugars in there. And what I would like to propose is that to see that you get your water in, your body needs the liquid, is I like to, when I get up, I have a glass of water with either lemon juice. Most of the time I have apple cider vinegar in there. And then we go for our walk and I come back and I have another glass of water. If you structure it throughout the day so that it becomes a habit naturally, like before lunch and before dinner and during the day, then you can get in the amount of water you need. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I'm sorry about your friend passing away.
Oh, man. Yeah.
As for your, have you tried like anything bitter, like more bitter
I have these Chinese gourds. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Chinese what?
Gourds. It looks
Oh,
like,
Chinese word, yeah.
yeah, you have heard of it. It looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a cucumber, with a little, but it does something to my body. My husband can drink it. I can't. I drink it and I have to sit in the bathroom. I like
Okay.
for the morning. So I've got some in the fridge right now, and I will drink a glass of it, and then I can't drink it for I think I can drink it twice a week because I stopped drinking it. Um, Anything else that you'd like to say on the bitters?
Uh, have you tried like dandelion roots?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't
Dandelion,
have the actual dandelion roots though. I've got
um,
the tea.
the tea. Okay,
Yeah,
tea
yeah,
is something's better than not having it, right?
yeah. So I haven't really looked into dandelion roots because I didn't really um, know where to get it, but I think I should. Thanks for mentioning that.
They're usually in like Asian supermarkets.
Yes, yes, we have an Asian supermarket, and I love go. That's where I get my gourds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And also nettle tea. You can have that.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Thank you, thank you. Yeah,
And what else? Bitter melon. Have
bitter
you tried
melon.
bitter melon?
Do you get bitter melon here? Because there's some things that I used to get in South Africa that I wish, and it's bitters. We just called it bitters, this one drink. And it's natural. So I make myself a drink of green things and I add aloe in it. I've got aloe growing in my garden. So maybe I must look into nettle if I can grow it. I
Hmm.
remember nettle actually now that I think of it, but don't know where to get it here.
Yeah, that's really good for that as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, you're welcome. So in terms of exercises, what type of exercises do you do? And
Well, I'm more a walker and I have 2 subscriptions to yoga, and that's truth. But I fell and I hurt my ankle very bad. It took me 2 years to be able to walk again properly. Every time I started walking, I would be in so much pain. And I'm not a pill pusher. I don't like to take pills for pain. And I had to sometimes. And I also have something going on with my wrist. And I'm sharing this, we all have ailments, and I want people to know, just I don't say push yourself, but just do something every day. So I like walking. I walk for 45 minutes a day. Actually, normally goes around 50 minutes a day. Sometimes we do more walking than other times. I'm trying to do yoga at home now because when I go to the class, my ankle goes into so much pain. So I go for like 3 times, and by the third time, I have to stop. I just have so much pain in my ankle. So I'm trying to do that at home now, do some light exercise. I like to call it movement because, if you love dancing, like I love dancing, I'll put the music on and I just dance to the music. Any kind of movement is really good for you. And I think at least if you have a pool and you can swim, that's another good thing. That's another thing we do from time to time. The weather permits. Now, when I say weather permits, Florida is extremely hot. So weather permitting, if it's cool enough, it's not if it's warm enough. And yeah, those are the things that I like to do. So I say to my clients, if there's a mode of movement that you prefer, do that. But see that you get exercise in on a daily basis, because that helps greatly with sugar levels. And that's why I also walk every day, so that if I don't get anything else in, I've gotten in my 45 to 50 minutes of walk.
right. Well, I'm glad that you're doing, walking and moving and
Yeah,
your joints mobile and
yeah.
everything.
I go to a OMM, orthopedic medicine doctor, once a month, and then they manipulate my body because we mess up our bodies whether we like it. Sometimes my hips are out. I'm like, how did that happen? So I do a couple of stretches, which is very important for you. And but I like to go to the doctor once a month so that if I've put anything out, she can put it back. So before it gets too bad.
Hmm. Alfalfa would really help with the joints and everything.
Okay.
Alfalfa, right?
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, alfalfa.
Okay.
They come in tea form, or you can even do the capsules.
Okay. Well, I think I'm getting such a lot of good information here. Where is my, if you don't mind?
I can send those to you
Okay, you
afterwards.
will? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
alfalfa isn't one that I know about it, but it isn't something that I've been using. And
Uh-huh.
I'd like to incorporate that for my clients, because
Right.
joint pain, lots of people suffer with joint
Mm-hmm.
pain.
Right. What else? Oh yeah. So for your clients, what are some of the common issues or things that they want to solve? They come to you for.
To gain energy, lots of women are doing, I work with women, and between I'd say 40 and 60, because 60 is the new 40. And so lots of women are, even at 60, are working extremely hard. They're not slowing down. I remember my mom retired at the age of 60, but women aren't retiring now. They go on in their 70s and over, and they're still working very hard, and they're not giving themselves a break. We all seem to think we need to be superwoman. And so to gain energy is one of the things, and also to maintain a healthy weight, so releasing weight. And it is so important for people to realize that dieting does not work. And because it's like going on a diet, it's like going on a holiday and coming back. You have to come off it. And so it's so important for people to have lasting habit change, and so that the way they eat just becomes the way of life. And 98% of people who go on a diet um, pick up those weight within 6 months. And to be quite honest with you, my school taught us that, and I'm like, 98%, that's high. Well, I have a girlfriend that does this all of the time, and I hope she's doing better now. But 2 years ago, I saw her in a picture on Facebook, and I'm like, wow, she looks just like her daughter. She's lost a ton of weight. She looked fabulous. Like, I'm like, is that her? Is that her daughter? And I knew, in my mind, I knew it was her, but I'm still, is that her? Is that her daughter? Anyways, it just so happens I do a prison ministry, and it just so happens that 6 months later, we were together at meetings, and she'd put it all back. And I know she'd done that before. And so I mention things to her, but as a friend, I don't go after. As a client, I want her to, I give her lots of hints and tips. And I just hope that when I say these things, she gets it, because we want to do what the 2% does. The 2% of people who learn how to eat, so that is just the way they do. They don't gain back the weight, and they have the energy to do the things they love, and really be present with their family and their friends and at work and in their life, and enjoy it. We don't want our lifestyle to be one day. We want our lifestyle to be now. It's now that we want to change, now that we want to live, now that we want to have a great lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's so important to have that lifestyle, to have the
Yes.
consistency,
Yes.
so that, and especially at the beginning, it's going to be difficult, because of building that habit, that new habit, and changing things.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a transition phase.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Right. So do you have like a morning routine or a set of tasks that you do that are like non-negotiable type of thing? Like,
Yeah. My one big non-negotiable is my walk in the morning. I've sometimes, like, say this morning, we will still go and walk, my husband and I, but sometimes I have done in the past. I've tried it. Oh, it's I got up at 6 o'clock this morning, and I've been busy, for an hour, and I do some admin things. I think, oh, I don't feel like walking. That does not happen anymore, because I find as the day goes on, progresses, if we don't walk in the morning, we can sometimes try to do it at night, but sometimes things happen. So non-negotiable is my walk in the morning. And then I have my quiet time and devotions when I come back. I just like to take, and then for 10 minutes, I just sit there in appreciation. Gratitude is so huge. And the strangest thing is, I know for a fact And I know people like that too, that, you know, you can look at the other side of the coin. You can see of what is not happening for you, what is bad in your life. I think we can all do if we want to. I choose to stay in gratitude mode always, all day long. But, you know, it's a time when I just sit there and just appreciate. And it's a beautiful thing, because it's amazing how much you can appreciate and see what you really have, you know. As people who are living in America, we are so fortunate sometimes. Well, not sometimes. We work hard. You know, nothing just happens. You have to choose to do it. But choosing to see what is good in your life is very important. And then, like I said, you know, before I even go on my walk, I have my glass of water. Mostly it's um, apple cider vinegar that I put in there in the morning, and during the day to get my water in. And then, you know, after my quiet time, I'll see if I what I'm going to cook for the day, and you know, so that if I have to get some meat out of the freezer or something, and then I like to get started on my work.
So important. I love that gratitude part. Spend
Yeah.
some time on that, because I remember at a period of time where I was going through a lot, and I was all thinking of all these things and why, life sucks, this and that, those
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah.
And then at that point, like a friend messaged me and says, let's share in a group what are three things that you're grateful for. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's so many things that I could be grateful for,
Yeah.
even though I'm going through tough times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's so true to
Yeah.
just every day remind yourself what you're grateful for,
That's
even
right.
at the toughest times you're going through.
Yeah. And then journaling is so important. There was a period of time that I was better at journaling, and now that I'm concentrating on my business, I'm not that good at journaling, because you know there's so much I'm doing. But I like to tell people to journal, because if you are in a bad space in your life and you have a gratitude journal, it doesn't just have to be gratitude. Also, just write down the things, your dreams, what you would like to do. I've written so many things. My mom died in 2004, and it was an extremely bad period for me. I didn't deal with it well, honestly. But I started journaling then on a daily basis. So, I mean, 2004 was a long time ago. I went back in that journal, and most of the things I aspired to and that I wanted to, I have done, you know. And I also see things that I wrote down and that my life has improved so much. So I like to say, you know, try and write down, but start with gratitude so that you can focus there. Well, I'm glad that you realize how much you have and
Right.
how good your life is compared to, although we all have our stresses and strains, right?
Definitely. Definitely. So speaking of your business, what are the sessions look like? How long they run for, how many months or how many weeks you work with your clients?
I have two programs at the moment. I'm working on a group program, but for right now, I have a 6-week one-on-one program. It takes a lot of time. It's 45 minutes a session, and it takes a lot of time. But I feel that sometimes people need a bit of hand holding to start out with. And then I have a 3-month program, which is the one I prefer because, you know, health coaching and lifestyle coaching is not about eating only. It is to help and guide people to come to a better place of managing their weight and their energy. But it is about so much more. It is about your lifestyle, about your stress, about your sleeping habits, about interaction with other people. And I can truly say, to tell you a little story here, I had a client, and she wasn't she was a busy woman, and you know, sometimes she couldn't meet me um for the session, and I didn't like that, because you know, you have to train people, you have to stand in a place for them to be responsible and accountable for themselves. And so she asked me to take her daughter on as a client, and initially I didn't just jump to it, but she came up, she paid me upfront. How much do I owe you? You know, for her daughter. And because one of the exercises we did, she came on the call and she had a massive headache, and she said she didn't think she could do the call that day. And I said, stay with me. if you feel, as we progress, if you feel your headache is getting worse, I'm going to let you go. You're going to, you're going to let you choose. And at the end of that session, her headache was gone. And that was the reason why she wanted me to coach her daughter, because she used the techniques that I gave her with her children. She said when the son had a headache, she told him to try it and it worked. And so it's so much more than losing weight. I don't even like to use that word of losing weight, because lose means you have to find it again. So to release the weight is maybe the most important for the person in that moment, but we uncover all the things that are leading them to be eating, or what is stressing them, and how they can change it. And it helps with better relationships, because, once you become whole and you are able to apply things to yourself, you don't look out to other people to enhance your life or to be there for you. It depends on yourself, and then you can add to other people's lives. So
that's so true. I'm glad that you're able to help her with her headaches.
yeah,
That's a big thing too.
yes,
Nowadays with headaches that could be caused by the sugar, or it could be caused by the stress and not
yes,
sleeping well. There's so many different factors that could
yes,
contribute to that.
absolutely, absolutely. It's like you've just said it. That's so true, Pan. It's like the same things that affect some areas of your life affects so many other areas. And if you can fix the one part, it seems it just it goes around to everything, snowballs into everything else.
In my health coaching program, we talk about what's the factors. That's what's on the plate is what you eat, but also what's off the plate. And actually the
Okay.
primary food is actually what's off the plate, not necessarily what's on the plate.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I
Mhm.
must talk more about that to you. Yeah, that's true.
um, so because of this interview, Desiree is really generous, and she's offering a 20% off for listeners who are interested in getting health coached by her, and basically, follow, share your information with her, and she gives you recommendation and work with her, the opportunity to work with her, and she's offering 20%. So if you mention yoga size, I'll share her information in the description, and I'll also ask her to share that with us as well. And check out her site if you're interested in working with her. She'll be glad to help you out. And please share with us your contact information, your website, so how they can reach you.
Okay, my website is Easy Energy Wellness, and there is a little bit of a hiccup here. My website I've had for a couple of years, and now I have just put it under reconstruction. I think it's good, but that you can always room for improvement. So right now it is under construction. So if people would like to reach me at easyenergywellness@gmail.com, that's my email. And I hope that my website doesn't take too long. I've given it out to a company to do for me. So it shouldn't take too long, but sometimes things can take a little while. So when that's up and running, I am on Facebook. I'm in Facebook groups as Easy Energy Accelerator. So people could also PM me. I would really like to interact closely, and we'll have a call. And I always say you have to know that I'm the right fit for you, and I'm really open to have that. I really would, if people contact me, I would send them my calendar, and we could have a 30 to 45-minute discussion. They will definitely get a couple of nuggets. Like you and I have discussed right now, we'll discuss. And then at the end, we will see if they're a good fit for me. If they are, we work together. If I'm not a good fit for them, we won't. But I'll be very happy to do the call and at least give them the opportunity to see if I'm a good fit for them.
Great. Thank you so much. And listeners, thank you for being here as well. And thank you for taking your time to share your experience, your story, and your knowledge in the health and wellness coaching, life coaching. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for inviting me and allowing me to be on. Yeah, I think when human beings get together, we learn from each other. So it was great getting to know you and to hear about your side as well. And so I think it's been such a privilege and an honor to be on your call today. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Oh, don't